All right, first we will hear from the sponsors of the district. Is there a representative from the sponsors of the district? Could you state your name and your address for the record for us?
Good evening, Ada County Commissioners. My name is Michael Hahn, and I live in Meridian, Idaho, and I have been asked to speak tonight for the concerned citizens of Meridian. Our number one priority, which is why we are here tonight, is to protect our children by asking you, the county commissioners, to put our petition initiative on the next ballot for a vote by we, the people of Meridian, as part of the democratic process to reestablish our library district. Many of these attendees tonight have been duped into thinking that you, the commissioners, were getting rid of the library. They have all been lied to. All we ask is that you put this decision in the hands of the voters. The Meridian Library District is a critical part of our community. We love it. We need it. We don't want to get rid of it. The real problem lies with the trustee board and the library director, them. We have a standalone taxing district with a trustee board, them, that has no accountability to city, county, or state. They are only accountable to we the people. For that reason, we the people are taking action, and they don't like it. They are in charge of a huge budget, and they bank on we the people not paying attention. That is over. The commissioners have exhibits that I sent on 315, exhibits 946 to 974, and I'd like to start by dispelling some myths and misrepresentations perpetrated by the library director and trustees. Myth number one, there is no obscene or sexually explicit material at the Meridian Library. That is false. Exhibit 974 shows just a small sample of books available at or through the library, directly accessible by minors without parental consent. Any parent would recognize that this material is sexually explicit and harmful to minors. As further evidence of this sexual material to minors at the library, Chairman Megan Larson, in a February 2023 trustee meeting, referring to a House Bill 139, said, "I would agree that if this bill should pass and become law, the policy requirements would require some significant changes as to how we operate this library. We could expect the library operations to look very different. Some significant restrictions on some of our services." That, gentlemen, is a clear admission that they have this material at the library and they have a problem with it. However, library trustee Destiny Hart, in her testimony in front of state legislators, stated that this material does not exist at any Idaho library. And Director Nick Grove also said in a podcast that this material does not exist. These statements are legal alphabet soup, created to obfuscate the truth and to attempt to confuse we the people and the commissioners. Were these statements manufactured by attorneys? Were these attorneys paid for by our tax dollars? Weaponizing our money against us? These are all very good questions. Myth number two, we are infringing on First Amendment rights. False. There are two court cases in an example A that clearly state that disseminating sexually explicit material to minors is not covered by the First Amendment. Myth number three, it's the parents' responsibility. Well, we as parents are taking the responsibility to fix this issue. That's why we're here today. For years, the library has been promoting themselves as a safe space for children to explore. So now if a parent has to follow their child around like a hawk to see what they're picking up, well, it's no longer a safe space, is it? Myth number four, we want to ban and censor books. False. We have never asked for that, period. Myth number five, we want to get rid of the library district. Again, false. We want to reestablish this library through a democratic process with a trustee board that is in line with community standards. If our petition initiative is successful, we will immediately submit our next petition to reestablish the library district. Isn't that worth protecting our children? We value our children over institutions. We value creating safe institutions for all people of all ages. Now that you understand what we are not trying to do, I want to address why we have chosen to take this path. We are taking this path because these elected trustees, who gladly take our taxpayer money, have consistently over the last 18 months disregarded all of our efforts to protect the children. When they are in the wrong, they resort to name calling, The library director has labeled us as Christian nationalists. They pass out flyers in front of the library, which is breaking their own rule, calling us extremists just for wanting to protect our children. And unlike the West Ada School District, the Meridian Library's book collection and reconsideration policies do not involve the public taxpayer. The director and trustees make final decisions. All of our book reconsiderations were denied. That is one of their tactics. We have attended many of these trustee meetings to give public comment with no response or just a disregard for what we say. We met with the director and trustees as a group and individually to discuss ways we can alert parents to the contents of this material. The answer was always no. They know better. They're librarians. Some of our members submitted applications for vacant board seats in July of 22. Trustees have 6-year terms. They conveniently picked a trustee that donated to the library and another trustee that is an employee of the board chairman at a different organization. So you either have to pay for a seat or you have to be in the chairman's inner circle. We have submitted public records requests, which they want us to pay for or just ignore us, or they label us paper terrorists. If we don't agree with them, they disregard you or publicly call you a name. In order to shut us down for an August 22 trustee meeting, Meridian City Council member Liz Strader went on social media and whipped up her online mob, most of whom didn't even live in Meridian, to fill up the speakers list hours before the trustee meeting. So our supporters did not have the opportunity to speak. Typical mob tactics out of rules for radicals. And then in November of 2022, tired of hearing our comments, they completely shut down public discourse for the foreseeable future. That was the last straw. As you can see, they gladly take our tax dollars, but have a disregard and a disdain for our input. Taxation without representation. That's why we are here. Our state legislature has failed to protect our children. The Meridian mayor and city council only shrug their shoulders and say, it's not our problem. So we the people must turn to you, our county commissioners, with the only option we have left, reestablishment of the Meridian Library District through a democratic process. We have already started gathering signatures for this petition to reestablish the district. Once the new district is reestablished with a new board appointed by our commissioners, we will start working on making changes to the bylaws to involve the public taxpayer in their collection policies, in their reconsideration policies, and most importantly, to reestablish public discourse. Protecting our children takes work. We are prepared to do that. Honestly, we don't really even need to be here. They could have worked with us. But they chose to say no. They can stop this process. They can all resign today and allow you, the commissioners, to appoint a new trustee board in line with community standards. But they won't because they have an agenda to fulfill, an agenda that is anti-children, anti-family, anti-free speech, and anti-community. All we ask is that you, our county commissioners, have the moral and political courage to allow we the people to decide. Aren't we still in a government by the people and for the people? We ask you to let us pursue the democratic process. Please help us protect the children by letting us make the Meridian Library safe again. And with that, I'm going to introduce our subject matter expert, Patrick Sheridan, from Gays Against Groomers. Thank you.
Could you give us your name and address for the record, Patrick?
Patrick Sheridan, 9153 Fairmount Court, Orland Park, Illinois.
Okay. Okay. Now we have allowed someone outside of the district that is an expert on the topic, so you can go ahead and speak.
Thank you for having me today. My name is Patrick Sheridan, and I'm a representative of an organization called Gays Against Groomers. Gays Against Groomers is a coalition of gay people who oppose the recent trend of sexualizing children under the guise of LGBTQ inclusion. I am here today to help the very brave parents and concerned citizens of Meridian, Idaho, in their efforts to bring about the reestablishment of the library district with a new board of directors and to stop direct access by minors to sexually explicit materials. There is a small but very powerful group of political actors within what is referred to as the gay community that operate under the assumption that for a gay child to become who they truly are, that child must receive explicit instruction about the sexual appetites of some of the folks in the gay community. This is why there is pornography without limitations in the library. This is why those in charge of the library refuse the very simple request to require only adults or children with parental consent to rent out illicit materials from the library. It is there specifically so all children can access it. The people that demand these books remain in the library for children to access do so because they want every aspect of a gay person's life to be centered around our sexuality. These people unknowingly are the very mirror image of the bigots we had to fight for the right to merely just exist. To think that a gay person's, let alone a gay child's, sexuality is so paramount to who they are that they need literature about various kinds of explicit sex acts just to exist is, well, bigotry. It is no different than a racist looking in the face of a racial minority and telling him that he needs to act a certain way because of the color of his skin. Please help the concerned citizens of Meridian to reclaim their library. Literally, all they want is some transparency and for tax-paying parents to be able to protect their children from illicit materials. These are the most reasonable people I've ever met. There are some who have labeled this brave group of souls as bigots or Christian nationalists. They are neither of these things. I'm bisexual, and they have welcomed me with open arms and treated me like family. The people who levy such false accusations against good people trying to do the right thing, protect children, are the same ones who have labeled our organization, Gays Against Groomers, as a far-right anti-LGBTQ hate group. Keep in mind, we're a group full of gay people. The lesbian, gay, bisexual, and trans, or LGBNT, people that I consider to be my allies, colleagues, and friends, have two things in common with the far-right bigot: our humanity and the fact that we do not want sexually explicit materials distributed to precocious and wonderfully innocent children. That is where our similarities end. And the same goes for the kind folks that make up the concerned citizens of Meridian. These people believe in the beauty of childhood innocence. That's why they don't want minors to have direct access to these books. Another reason they don't want these materials distributed freely to all children by people using LGBTQ inclusion as a shield is because they see how negatively it affects us. They see the torment we are put through when we think about young, innocent minds introduced to such adult concepts as a supposed way to bring about more gay acceptance. This is not the way, folks. All we need to tell kids is that it's okay to be gay. That's it. Children will find their way, as we all do. Children do not need explicit instruction on how to engage in sexual activity. It is absurd that I am saying this in the year 2023. The concerned citizens of Meridian do not want my people to be forever defined by our sexuality, and they do not want hateful bigots to harm any innocent member of the LGBs and Ts. And that is exactly what will happen if children are given unfettered access to these kinds of books. The people that insist on these books being in circulation are the ones putting gay people in the gravest of danger. The concerned citizens of Meridian are our allies. They care about us. And we need you good folks to be our allies as well. Help these people reclaim their library. They don't want the library to go anywhere. They love the library. They only have a few very simple, reasonable requests. Help gay people in our battle to avoid being defined by what was for so long used to oppress us. Are we gay? Yes, but we are so much more than that. We are fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, aunts, and uncles. We are truck drivers, accountants, business executives, writers, poets, philosophers, and patriots. Please do not let the people that insist on forcing pornography on children to appease a radical sect of the LGBTQ community strip away our humanity. We are tired of fighting for our right to live. We just want to live our lives. We don't want to push or recruit children into being like us. We just want to be. And you know, we often see people debating what it means to be gay, but for us, to be gay is to just be human. Help us and help the concerned citizens on Meridian. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hahn, I have a couple of questions for you, if you could. For me? Yeah, for you. And maybe some of the commissioners may have a question as well. Thank you. Okay.
Well, he's gone.
Okay,
Yes.
Mr. Hahn, thank you for your presentation. You indicated, in fact, you started off the discussion that you love the library and that you need the library.
Yes.
Okay. And then during the course of your presentation, you suggested that the only way to fix the library is for the entire board to resign. And I'm wondering, is there another way? I mean, if the board would do something with the material that you find offensive, would that work for you?
Well, I mean, we've been asking that of them for 18 months.
Okay, well, we're here today, though.
Okay. If there was a way that they could make this information available to parents, that these books, like a book jacket or something online, where a child pulls up a book and it says, this may contain sexually explicit material. That's pretty simple. And we've brought that up in the past, and the answer's always been no. We have First Amendment protection, right? And
Okay, well, that was
Here
in
we
the
are.
past. Today's today.
right. You know, again, if it can be as simple as putting a book jacket on on this material, but also what they really need to do, just like West Data does, is have a parent committee involved in bringing these books in, which they won't do, right? And also, there needs to be a parent committee involved in reconsideration. It's not just this library, but I haven't heard of any library across the state where parents have tried to reconsider books where they've actually taken them out. So there needs to be public taxpayer involvement, and you know that's a start.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Is there any other questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a two-part question. Have you looked at the other libraries in the Treasure Valley to see what their policies are regarding this situation? And also, have you looked nationwide? Is there some kind of a model library policy that might be used elsewhere in the country that you're looking to adopt?
Well, I haven't looked nationwide, but as you may or may not know, all the libraries in the Treasure Valley, from Twin Falls all the way to Caldwell, are all interlinked. So it doesn't matter if a book is, whether it's in their collection or in the Twin Falls collection, they will deliver these books to your door. So, and as far as the policy goes, I would imagine that since they're all interlinked and you can get these books from anywhere, their policies are the same as the Meridian Library policies.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Chair, thank you. So what age range of kids are you generally trying to focus your attention on? Is it everyone under 18, everyone under 13, younger? What age range would your ideal policy apply to?
Well, this applies to minors, right? So that'd be anyone under 18. Now, there are books that I have in my backpack that are specifically focused for 4 to 8, 8 to 10, 10 and above, that all have this material. I mean, it may be drawn out in a nice, cute way to appeal to those kids, but you know, there's that age range below 10 to below from 4 to 13 that they're targeting, and then there's material for 13 and above that is, some of it's pretty vile. So they're targeting the whole spectrum. So I think parents should know that this material exists, and somehow that, you know, if they bring a book home, they may not want to show it to their children. Now, if a parent wants to go take it out and show it to their kid, be my guest. I don't care. Like I said, we're not banning books. We're not taking books out of the library. We just want parents to know what's in these books, and they don't. So.
Okay.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
So are you basically advocating that the books in the library would have, sort of like with movies, a rating on them if they're controversial, and that somehow if they get to the counter, if a minor brings it to the counter, the librarian would say, you're underage, you can't check this out?
Yeah, exactly. If you go into a video store, now that predates me, right? That dates me. But if you go buy a violent video game, right, it says for mature audiences. If you go to a movie, it says R, right, for mature audiences. Why not for books, right? And it's just really as simple as a book jacket on it that says this contains sexually explicit material, and let the parent decide whether they want to take that home or not. That's all we're asking, but they dig in their heels.
So would the books still be accessible in the library? They just
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to be checked out?
Absolutely.
Are you looking for certain books to be put behind the counter or in some other?
Whether it's behind a counter or a red flashing light comes up when the child goes to take it out. I mean, we heard of a child coming in and taking out 50 Shades of Grey. Took it to the counter, they checked it out, no questions asked. So there needs to be some control put in place for that, right? Because if we have controls in all these other aspects of our lives, why not the library?
So they also have R-rated movies.
Oh, yeah.
At your library,
Yeah,
and there's no restrictions on those.
no restrictions on those. Anybody can walk into any library and take out any book. That's the bottom line, no restrictions.
Or movie.
Or movie.
Commissioner,
Just to dovetail with what the other two commissioners just said, you indicated, and again, like the chairman said, we are today, not what's happened in the past. So what are some of the other ideas that you might have explored that might still be options or potentially options at this point? Again, today forward.
Today forward, like I said, parents and taxpayers to be involved in the collection policy, just like at West Data. Parents and taxpayers to be involved in the reconsideration policy, right? Systems in place that, whether it's a book jacket or online, that indicate that this book may have sexually explicit material in it, you may want to look through it before you bring it home and give it to your kid. Having a minor not being able to take this material out when they go check things out. It's all pretty simple. It's just the computer programs that they have, they can accommodate that, but they just won't.
Thank you.
okay, one question. In order to get a library card for a youth, does the parent not have to approve it?
I would imagine so. I would imagine a parent needs to walk in and get them that card. But once they have that card, they can go in and take out whatever they want.
And they can order them online?
They will, that's one of the issues that we had, is we had parents who had these things delivered to their door. And because it was delivered in a library truck, it was all legal until it left the truck. If any of us would take these books and take it to our neighbor and try to give it to their 10-year-old, that parent could potentially have us arrested. What sense does that make? So you step out of the library box and you give it to someone and you get arrested, but if you're in the library, it's all okay? That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who's going to represent the library? Okay.